While we are still using fighting between traditional development and no-code platforms, I mean, the fight is still going on and it has not been concluded. We also have the confusion whether you should use your traditional development method like writing code or low-code or no-code platforms. We've forgotten a very huge aspect, AI. This is coming very strong. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you real quick how you can utilize AI in your FlutterFlow development workflow. I mean, this is going to be very, very amazing. And so you want to stick around. So traditionally, FlutterFlow allows you to also write custom code. It allows you to write code where you need additional functionalities. And that usually is a limitation for people that don't know how to write code. And so they tend to turn on to ChatGPT and you write and maybe the code will not be correct. They don't have a means of debugging and probably making it correct or making it work. I mean, that has changed. We now have ability for us to use like a Visual Studio Code extension to edit our custom code. And today we can utilize that with Cursor, the AI code editor. Well, if you don't know, Cursor is an AI code editor. It allows you to actually develop with AI as your co-pilot, and it allows you to write code, it generates code, and it can help you debug, and also instructions on how you can go about the development lifecycle. A lot of developers are using this thing to actually write code, and so it'll be a privilege for us to also have access to tap into this as FlutterFlow developers. So real quick, it allows you can download the app for your Mac, Linux, or whatsoever. So I already have it downloaded, and this is how Cursor looks like. If you've not watched my video, I've shown you how you can set up the FlutterFlow Visual Studio Code extension. So I may have that linked in the description below or should show up here right now. So be sure to check out how to do that. So I already have this thing, my FlutterFlow extension installed here on my Cursor. If you do, Cursor is like a fork of VSCode, so everything should work the same. So I already have it installed and configured. I'm not going to go to that configure part, but yeah, you can watch that video and see. So the next thing we're going to do is download our code and start writing custom code. Let me show you how to use Cursor. I have this empty FlutterFlow project here, this empty project, and this is what I'm going to use. So I'm copying the ID of the project, and I'll come over here on my Cursor, go to View, Command Palette, and I run download code to download the code from FlutterFlow. So here is it. Inputting the project ID, enter, and I just want to pull the main branch, so I'm going to keep it empty. Again, you can watch that my video. I have a detailed description of how this extension works. So I'm going to enter and give it some time to pull the code. So it is asking for the directory to save. I already have this directory here, so I'm going to allow it this directory f save download location. So I want it to save there, and that is going to pull the code. As you can see here, downloaded FlutterFlow project and whatnot. It is downloading. So the code has successfully been downloaded. As you can see, this is it on the side here. Let me just walk you through some important things that you need to note when working with Cursor, like what it is all about. Let me walk you through the editor. So first thing first, if you come under here on File and Preferences, and you go to Settings, Cursor Settings, or VSCode Setting, here you are going to see the various models. So what Cursor does is it has like a wrapper that you can use to call various models to actually interact with your code and whatnot. So we have these models. We have Claude 3.5 Sonnet. This is very good for development. You have GPT 3.5 or like this, and you can actually specify your own OpenAI key. If you have an OpenAI key, you can specify it here, and it'll be used to query and do all the code generation and debugging. You can specify an Anthropic key if you have Google API or Azure API and the base URL. Now, one beautiful thing is you can also add a model, right? So you can add a model if you have a custom model somewhere. Maybe you've hosted your own large language model and you want to use it to generate your code. There are so many places that you can find language models that you can host or use. There's a site like Hugging Face that you can check out, but you can specify your own model here, and then it's going to use that model to generate code and debug your code for you. So this is very powerful. It's the aspect of you specifying these keys. But by default, when you install Cursor, you have some credits that you can use for Claude Sonnet and a couple of these other models. So you are good to go off the bat. Now, under General, you can specify various rules for the AI, right? You can specify, like, if you're a beginner, you can tell Cursor to generate code in a way that you as a beginner is going to understand and not like a professional. That way you can learn how to use Cursor very well. Now you can also include .cursor file rules in your project. This one is just specific for that particular project, not for the entire code editor. If you know that you're going to be generating, say JavaScript code, you can write specific JavaScript rules like, hey, use ES6 or use this, do that, the way you should handle promises or whatnot. Let me show you where you can get example of these rules and how it should be. It's simple. It's a text. You can write like, hey, generate code, or think before generating code. You can type something like that. But let me show you where you can find some of these rules that people have shared that are very, very performant, and you can copy them and use. So if you head over to this website, cursor.directory, you're going to see a bunch of rules that people have uploaded. You see rules relating to TypeScript, you can filter, rules relating to React, Next.js, Laravel, Supabase, whatsoever, JavaScript. And for us, we are looking for Flutter. So let's search for it. So I'm just going to scroll on the side here until I find Flutter. So where are you? This is Flutter, right? And I think this is Flutter. Okay, here we have Flutter. So you're going to see these two rules that you can use on your cursor editor for Flutter. So let's just click to open this one and see. This one says you're an expert Flutter, that Riverport, Freeze, Flutter, hooks, whatsoever thing, and Supabase. So I can add Firebase or whatsoever thing. I can modify this rule to tell my AI what to do. So if my project uses Firebase, I can add Firebase there. It's very simple. So these are various things, key principles, that and Flutter, error handling, performance. Let's look at UI styling, use Flutter's built-in. Anyways, let's copy this rule. Let's say want to use this rule. We are going to copy it and paste it in this our rules here on the rules for AI. So I'm going to paste it here. And so let me add Firebase here, modify the rules and Supabase. Then I'll come here on UI. I'm also going to say use Flutter's built-in widgets and create custom widgets. Let me just and also FlutterFlow widget. Let me just add that just so in case that it wants to make use of custom widget. If FlutterFlow widget, it can also use like FlutterFlow's default widgets. Anyways, you can read all of this and confirm the rule or whatsoever, and it's already saved. Right now, you are good to go start editing. And also a key thing is you may want to, like, if you are working on something proprietary, you may want to sync. You don't want it like code to go out or something. You may want to enable privacy mode. So you can enable privacy mode. That way your code will not be shared with Cursor, but they may, as they say here, read your prompts or the prompts that is being used for whatsoever. Over here on the features section, you can also do things like customize the way the tab works. Anyways, that's something that you can look at in detail. But Composer allows you to, you can enable Composer on Cursor is something that allows you to automatically generate code. This is not very useful for our use case, but it's going to generate the code and write file, create files, and do a lot of things like a whole full code base sets it up for you. So here, you can also allow it to index the whole code base. So if you don't want to read, if you don't want it to read specific files, then you can disable this index. But if the advantages of it reading the whole index of your code base is so that it can know where something is being used and it helps you for debugging. You can also tie documentation. If you have a documentation like FlutterFlow documentation, you can actually add documentation here, right? So we have docs.flutterflow. Let me see, docs.flutterflow. So you can actually tie documentation here so that it's going to understand what you are trying to do, right? If you tie it like that, it's going to pull that documentation and read it. Anyways, that's the idea. So chart, we have chart. You can enable it to always search the web before you generate things, but you can just look at all of these things to modify and just to enhance your code generation process. Let's get into working right now. So as you already know, for you to be able to edit your custom code with the FlutterFlow VSCode extension, the code is found inside this directory, lib custom code. And we have, right here, we have just one single custom widget, which is the rich text editor. It's just something basic that I was trying to do. And under here, FlutterFlow custom functions, we have just a single custom function, I think, create YouTube embed link, something like this. So what I want to do is I want to come back here on view command palette and start a code editing session. When I start this code editing session, it's going to also pull the packages that I need. Again, watch the video that I have linked below. All right, so the code, the packages are done installing, and we currently have this create YouTube embed link, that particular, what do you call it, custom function available. Now I can go ahead and select a device and run my code. This is one of the beauties about building here with VS Code, with an offline code editor is that I can actually run my code locally and test all the changes that I'm making before I push to back to FlutterFlow. So no device connected. I'm going to select Chrome just to run the code on Chrome, and I'm going to start the debug session. Run and debug session on FlutterFlow. Now there are two ways that you can use Cursor or AI to generate code with the cursor. So you can either use it inline inside your code, like within the file that you are writing, or on the side which is called the cursor chat or whatever thing, right? So you can either press Control L, as you can see this shortcut that is highlighted here, Control L to chat or Control K to generate. So let's take, for example, I want to generate a custom function that finds how many days are within a duration. Let's say if I select today or last year, January 5th, and this year, February 22nd, something like that, to calculate how many days that is. So I'm just going to press Control K, right, to open the code instruction. And I'm going to say a function that calculates how many days the duration from start to end date. It's just an example. So something like that, and I click on generate. It is going to automatically generate. Right now, it is using this Claude 3.5 Sonnet. This is the model that it's using. And I can actually switch the model, right? So what it has done is it has generated a function. It's called int, calculate days between. It takes in the start date and it takes in if start date and end date and null, then it returns 0. That there is no, how you call it, there is no days or between them. Otherwise, it returns end days. Is that the difference between these two, right? Now, I will not know how to actually write this kind of code. Maybe I'll write it another way, but this is what the model has suggested. Now we can do follow-up instructions, right? So I'm going to accept this, and we already have this code available. I'm going to save, and if I come here under FF modified files, I'm going to see that I've modified these custom functions. This is it down here showing. And right now, I can just push back to FlutterFlow and actually use that custom function in my application, right? So right here, this is the application, and what we have is just this single function that calculates, that creates the YouTube embed link. I don't have any other one, so I'm going to come back on Cursor and push that code that we have modified, right? So I'm going to do push to FlutterFlow. It's syncing with FlutterFlow. I give it some time to sync, and it has already synced. I'm back here on FlutterFlow. This is it. It's the function just appears at what it's very fast. This is amazing. Yeah, just cut and this between. This is the function, and I can actually, I think if I'm web, I can actually test this custom function. So let's test it out. All right. So this is the app on web opened, and what I'm going to do is come here under custom code, custom function. So this I'll calculate this between, and it's a valid function. I'm going to go to test function, and let's actually see. Let's pick a date. Let's say between the 4th, doesn't matter, and the 8th, and run. It should show us like, is it 3 or 4 days? 4. So it's just saying 4. Now I can come back here on Cursor, and okay, this thing has already gone. I can highlight this snippet of this code, and I say I want to edit it, right? And I'm going to give it instruction. I don't just want it to say 4. If it is a 1 day, it should say 1 day, return the string as 1 day. If it is 4, it should say 4 days with S. So I'm going to type something like return a number of days with proper pluralization. So something like that. I don't know what it's going to do, but let's try out submit. So let's see. This between 0 days. Okay. Then use this. So this looks correct actually. So right, it's going to check if there's this, then going to return 0 days. Otherwise, it's going to return how do you call it? If the day is equal to 1, like number is equal to 1, then it's going to use day as in the number day, otherwise days. So 2 days. And after doing that, I'm going to push to FlutterFlow. Let me come back here on the editor, and let me just click outside and see if the code has come. Yes. So let's come here. The code has already loaded. Okay, save, compile, and let's test it out. So if we leave it as the way it is today, I'm running 0 days why is days 0? I think the function, it did not understand the function very well or something, because we have here return 0 days. So we can customize this actually to say like there is no day or 0 day. Like, we can customize that normally. I think it has already only handled the pluralization for this other aspect. So let me select the next day here. It should be 1 day on 1 day, right? Or 2 days or multiple days. When it's days, then use plurals. So yeah, this is a custom function, and now we can tie this in our code. We can use this in our front end to do something or whatever thing we want to do. Now, so I'm just going to create a simple front end here to actually tie this thing. So I'm going to create a row. Let me just add a row inside here and add 2 buttons. And I'm saying this one should be for start date. I'm duplicating end date. Anyways, let me design this UI and let's just see. And I'm going to add a text below. And this text is going to hold it. This thing is going to have like, right. So how many days between that start date and end date? So I'm going to make this very big. Let's give it headline small, something like that. So it did picker, tie, it did picker here, tie, it did picker here, and use the 2 date to actually compute that value. All right, so I've tied an action for a date picker on these 2 buttons to pick the start and end date, and I'm going to call this custom function here to do the computation of the 2 dates. So this is it. Calculate days between. The start date is going to be my first widget, widget state, first date picked, confirm, and the end date is going to be this widget state, the last date picked, confirm. So this should display the value here, and let me give it a detail. For value is select date, something like that, and let's test and see. All right, so we have our test mode running. So I'm going to select the start date. Let me just pick and confirm. Let me pick end date. So it'll be like the 15th. That's about 7 days, I think. So you see 7 days, it automatically shows us that answer, right? So that's how you can use this thing to write your custom functions. Now let's go to the aspect of us creating a custom widget. Since we're already working with date or time whatsoever, let me try creating a custom widget that is going to show us this thing, a beautiful clock, using this package. This package from PopDev is called one clock, as you can see here. You can use it to just draw like beautiful clocks, and let's try to also do that in our code. Now, initially, the way we may want to do this before is probably come and read this documentation, go and create your custom code and have the boilerplate widget, and then try to debug with ChatGPT and go left and right and what the like. Oh, goodness. All of that is very tedious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here on FlutterFlow, and I'll come here on this code, this section, and create a new custom widget. Let me call the custom widget is, let's say, custom widget. Again, we can do this from the VS Code side, but I want to show you how we can also pull our FlutterFlow code and use, if say we're already editing. Let's say, call it beautiful block. Let's just call it like that. And what this thing is going to do is I'm going to leave everything like this. I don't think I need anything. Maybe the only package I'm going to add is the package from this repository, right? But again, I can also leave it and handle that on the front end. I just want to make it much more simpler. So let me copy this one clock 2.0, and I'm going to paste it, this package here, just like how we normally create our custom code on FlutterFlow. Now, I usually let me copy the boilerplate code, yes, and I save the widget. I like editing with this offline editor. It's much more fast. I don't have very good network, so it's faster. Let me come here and actually try to pull the package and see if it goes. So we have beautiful clock here, and I'm going to click on this icon. Right now, yeah, I think we should be good to go. So what I'm going to go do now is I'll come back here on cursor, right? Again, our debug session is starting. So you see in our custom code directory, we have this custom code, our actions. We don't have any actions here. And in the widget, we have just this rich text editor widget. Oh, besides, I've just noticed something. I'm trying to start a debug session where it's failing because of prospect.yml. So I'm going to come here, and besides editing our normal code, we can also edit the prospect.yml file, right? So this particular section, I don't have these fonts for some reason. I'm using a font that I don't have in that directory. So I'm going to just clear this. I don't need it, so I'm going to save. I can also edit this file. This is removing it, Codec Pro. And when this prospect is done running, I'm going to start our debug session. So my custom widget created, right? With my custom widget created, I'm just going to use the custom widget on this home page. Let me just put it there so that it's going to be visible when I'm debugging, right? Let me put it on this home page, and I'm going to add inside this column. I'm going to add inside this column my custom widget, beautiful clock. Let it just be there. Let me just give it a padding of about 20 up with percentage. Let's do 50 of about 500 to about 200. Yeah, let it just be something like that. This is where our beautiful clock is going to be displayed. Right now, I'm going to come back here on my cursor, right? This thing is starting. I'm going to come back here on cursor, and I'll do pull from FlutterFlow so that it should pull the latest code. As you can see in this our custom code directory, I don't have that beautiful clock widget yet, right? So I'm going to do pull latest down here. So pull. Are you sure you want to pull the latest? Yes, I want to pull. I'm going to give it some time to pull, and I think it is done pulling because inside here now we have beautiful clock that this is what we have now. So our debug mode has started locally here. This is a test mode. This is our debug mode that is running locally. And what I'm going to do is I'll come here inside this our custom code widget, the beautiful clock that we've how do you call it, that we created on FlutterFlow. And this time I'm not going to do the inline chat. I want to chat on the side, right? So I'm going to press Ctrl L to open the chat that cursor has. Ctrl L, and you're going to see the chat is going to pop up by the side here. Now we can actually chat with this file. We can include other files and see how this thing is going to progress. And just so I'm going to allow cursor to have access to where I'm using this widget. I'm also going to add another file, this file that has the page where I'm using this thing. So I'm going to do, so if you see it, just to give this thing cursor an idea of what I want it to do or where I'm using that widget, I'm also going to add this page where the widget is being used. So under pages, I have this home page widget. I'm going to right click and I say add, where is it? Add files to cursor chat. So I'm going to add it, and you see now it has access to this page and this other one, just in case, like, okay, it has a reference of where that file is being used. That's just the idea. All right, now I'm going to ask it to do create a beautiful ticking blue clock widget using I wanted to use this package, the one clock package, the one clock this package, something like that. And I'm going to click enter and let it do its magic. So it says you should add this to our dependencies, and then inside beautiful clock we should do this import. So we have this existing imports already, all of that. Then this implementation creates a clock with following features whatsoever. So, well, I'm assuming I don't know how to write code, so I don't even know how to read this code that it has done here. So I'm just going to apply. If I click on apply here, it is going to highlight where it wants to apply this widget in this our custom widget. So I'm going to click on apply. You see, it's added this import package and all of this code below, right? And I'm going to click on accept. So with that done, I'll save. Let me bring up that our debug thingy here on the right, and if we reload, okay, it's already hot reloading. Let's see if it's going to show down here. It reloads. Now let's take a second and just evaluate this code that it has generated here. You see, it is making use of FlutterFlow theme of. That's because of the rules that we initially set. Like, this thing doesn't have a problem probably using default Flutter theming, like maybe colors, button.colors or whatever thing, but it's referencing our FlutterFlow theming, and you can see this beautiful clock. It is ticking. Okay. You see? Now that like, I don't know if you understand how amazing this is. You can actually build much more functionalities. Things that are difficult, like Firebase search and query, without even using Algolia. You can build your own custom search, custom action that does search. Look at what this guy has done. This is amazing. This is very amazing. Now, when I'm pushing back to FlutterFlow, if I'm comfortable with this, I can push. Again, I can continue chatting with this thing. Make something like make the current time on the clock bold and the clock more beautiful. I don't even know what I'm trying to do, but let's just see what is going to happen. And we can continue chatting like that, and it's going to keep generating. Again, this is just like It's adding some blur. This is amazing. Look at the code generator. It's making it longer. Cool. Monsterrad fonts. It's going to make it appear like a futuristic thing. So I'm going to click on apply, and these are the changes that it's making. So you can go one after the other and accept all of these changes here. Like if you hover here, you can accept these changes one after the other, or just apply everything, right? So let me see, accept, and they're having a warning here. Anyways, I don't know what that is. Okay, so this is one thing now. You can actually like ask it to debug or fix this error, like AI fix in chat, and it's going to try to fix. Like there are so many things you can do, so I really urge you to explore it and see where it takes you. So it has identified certain things. I'm clicking on apply, and let's see the changes that it's making here. Where's the change? It's still generating. Let me highlight it again for you to do. I think I stopped it halfway. You can add this to chat. There are errors here. We can add all of that, highlight all of that, and add it to chat. There are errors here. Several of these parameters aren't supported. Here's a corrected version. So it actually identifies like all of this. And guys, if you're not using Cursor, you're sleeping on this thing. So if we do all of this, and it's going to probably replace that, apply, and it is removing all of this thing that has an error, and it's just replacing it, except. So we now have our code. And if I reload, hot reload, let's see what change it has made to this clock. There is blur around it. Anyways, guys, that's the whole idea. You can play with this and do a lot of things. As I see myself using this a lot, especially connecting my own modem. My own model, my own custom model, and I'm going to use it a lot. So with this done, I'm going to push back to FlutterFlow. Where is it? Push to FlutterFlow. As you can see, this is a beautiful clock dot that was modified, and it's showing that sync to FlutterFlow. Let me show you guys something. If I come over here on FlutterFlow, now let's go to the custom codes. Beautiful clock. We don't see any change here. Now, this is an issue that it's current. I don't know why it is happening, but this is an issue that I have reported with FlutterFlow, and they have an open issue. I've recorded a video showing them why my custom things like custom widget and custom actions do not push, unable to push with VS Code. So this is a whole issue. I created this issue, gave some helper, recorded a video and sent where they ask, and hopefully it gets rectified. But if you want to apply this in your code, what you can simply do is just simply copy as from. You can just copy everything, right? This is not going to break. Copy everything and replace the code that you have here on FlutterFlow. Or if you want, you can just copy like one after the other like this to not remove the modifier above. So I'm going to copy this to the end, and I'll paste inside my beautiful clock like this. Paste, and add the import statement too. I imported this package. I think this is it. Imported this package, and I'm also going to add that above here, something like this, and you save. Now this should run effectively, just like how you have it. Anyways, guys, that's been using Cursor to edit your FlutterFlow code. This is going to change the way we actually write custom code, and the way development itself is going to be with FlutterFlow. It's very, very amazing. If you like this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also leave a comment. Thank you guys for supporting me with over 1,000 subscribers. Thank you for all of those that are subscribing. And if you have any question, I have information below. If you have any video ideas, be sure to leave them in the comments. I'm reading the comments, and thank you for your suggestions or proposals, all those of you that are watching my channel. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. See you next time. Again, don't be afraid of custom code. Bye bye.